I've been writing my novel for, I don't know, March, April, May, for 3 months now, and I still don't have my writing schedule down. I've passed the midpoint, I'm nearing 40,000 words, and my writing patterns, schedule, how I approach it still feels up in the air, willy nilly. So this week, I'm trying to fix that. Hi, I'm Kayla. I am a newbie writer working on my memoir turned young adult dystopian fantasy book series. And what I thought was going to be a trilogy has expanded into a duology with a prequel and a couple other sets to kind of build a universe. And I'm really, really excited about it. And I'm on the first draft of the first book. And I've realized that, wow, I've gotten to almost 40,000 words. I think I'm sitting around 38,000. And I don't have like a real schedule for how I want to show up as a writer. And I've shared before, if you are not new to my videos, that I want to take this seriously. I do have another full-time job. I run my own business. I am a curriculum and framework strategist and also a coach for creatives and other coaches. And so I do that. I almost said on the side of writing, but I don't want either of them to feel on the side. I want them to feel like this is what I do. I feel like the trendy term thing to say right now is being a multi-hyphenate. And sure, yeah, there's a lot of different things. I like to just call myself a professional nerd. But anyways, I'm trying to figure out the best way to blend these schedules together. What I was doing before that I thought and felt like worked really well is that I would have just days dedicated to writing. And so I'd write about twice a week. I would write on like a Monday or a Thursday and a Friday. And then I'd work on client stuff on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Those are kind of like my call days. I do check in with clients, not on calls also. But what I was finding was that after I went on that week-long writing retreat, I wanted to write more than twice a week. And I found that really, like, if I devoted a whole day to writing, I still didn't write for more than like 3 hours max. So I was like, I don't need an entire day devoted to writing. I could do other things in that day. So what I'm experimenting with this week, and today, as of recording this right now, is Tuesday. So yesterday I already did this, but what I am experimenting with this week is updating my schedule, and I'll put a screenshot here of what my schedule looks like. But I normally don't really fill in my entire schedule. I used to years ago, like have my schedule down to the every 20 minute, and I would stick to it just like clockwork, especially when I was still in the classroom teaching. My schedule was very full, very busy, and I didn't really have the ability for leeway. But now, as I've run my own business and I build my own schedule, I usually only put in the exact meetings that I'm going to be having. So my schedule will look fairly empty. I don't usually schedule in workouts or things like that. But as I'm moving into this new trying to figure out this schedule, I've kind of built out a structure that I think will be helpful. I wake up, I journal, I have coffee, I do admin work. I really like to, most of the time, stick around in my pajamas and comfy clothes and have my coffee, do whatever. Like, my brain really likes to work first thing in the morning. So sit down, answer some things, check in with clients, things like that in the morning. Then I do really like to work out. So like today, after I did my admin stuff, I worked out at the gym. I had breakfast with my husband, John, which was really, really nice. Then go into a writing sprint. I found that when I was doing that week-long writing getaway, which is titled about how the memoir got hard, but one of the things that I learned during that time was that my brain doesn't like to write late at night. It also doesn't like to write first thing in the morning. Like, my brain goes. I thought I'd love that, but my brain goes 1,000 miles an hour right when I wake up, but it's with like organizational things. Like this morning, I woke up and reorganized a couple, like within 15 minutes of getting up, I went to go look for more toothpaste. And I was like, just reorganized our three of our storage drawers. Like my brain does weird things first thing in the morning, but writing and creativity isn't one of them. So it's like after I hit around that 10 a.m. time, then my brain starts to come up with ideas. Like when I was running today on the treadmill, then my brain was like, oh, here's something you could write about, or here's a thought, or do you like the way you did that? It started to formulate. So I really think that like 10 to 4 region is where my brain really likes to write. So I've kind of stuck that into the calendar, and I'm going to be experimenting with loosely following this structure of coffee, workout, or breakfast. And if I don't work out, maybe going on a walk or something like that, then writing, and then getting into my client work. So I currently am working on a big curriculum project for one of my friends, and I'll be working a lot in her business moving forward. And I'm really, really excited about that, of just like taking her massive, amazing visions. And I have the gift of, I'm both a visionary, but I'm also, like I just said, I organize shit for fun. But I also am very good at creating action steps. So I'll help manage her team, giving the action steps, taking all of her dreams and her visions for her business and turning them into steps, helping build that vision even deeper and stronger. And so I have that on my calendar that I'll check in with her every day. I won't have to actually do that work every day. And so if I don't, that just becomes a free time. But again, this was just a structure for me to follow to start to see how it goes this week. And then after that, doing and checking in with either editing my YouTube videos, checking in with my client work, having banks for client calls and things like that. So I'm really excited to try this. Yesterday, I did this and it felt good. But there's one of the things that's been kind of hard is knowing that I might have a call coming up and starting to write. And it makes my brain it seemed like I didn't fall all the way into writing. So something that I tried last week was that I set an alarm. And I was like, you know what? You can just write. Don't even think about the time. I kept checking my phone to be like, what time is it? Do I have to stop? Do I have to stop? When I set an alarm though, my brain would say, you don't have to check your phone. You don't have to know the time. You just get to write until the alarm goes off. So that's something that I want to keep doing now, because that really helped open up and free my mind. Because when I realized that a stopping time, it like kind of stifled my creativity. It put it in a box. And that's not obviously the way you want to feel when you are trying to creatively write. Today, I'm actually on a panel. I am going to go speak to a big group of creatives about honing their creative skill and being able to put it out into the world in a way that feels good to them and serves the world. So that's really exciting. This week is jam-packed with dream things for my job. And also I want to be trying to write every day. So we're going to see how that goes. Yesterday, it felt pretty good. Today, I honestly am a little bit nervous about getting into the flow of writing. So I'm really excited about the panel tonight. So if I start to write and I don't get into the flow of it, I'm going to give myself the ability and the grace to say, that's okay. You can stop for now and read or do something different. Also, look, the bookshelves are up. We got them put up. Look how beautiful they are. I stare at this side of the room like this vignette is just so gorgeous. And yes, we'll get a new pot for the plant, but right now it doesn't have one. But I'm so in love with this. The only problem is there's hardly any room for any more books unless I like break down this, which I don't want to do. I love this display. I'm going to have to get real crafty. Regardless, I'm going to see if I can get in the zone with writing today if I'm not too distracted from the panel tonight. Here we go. Well, I'm really proud of that. I forgot to set my alarm. I think it's because I was thinking about recording footage or whatever, but I still felt really good about my flow. It's about 12:30. I have no idea when I started. I think it could have been like 11 or something. So I didn't write for that long. I got in about 1,500 words, which feel really good. I was working on building out a new chapter. I'm doing this section according to Save the Cat, called Bad Guys Close In. So it's after my book has a false victory, and then it's kind of like this downward spiral that's going to bring her to make the choice that she has to make in order to move forward. But I feel like this is a good place to stop because I do want to take a lunch. One of my goals today with being able to go to this panel is I want today to feel spacious. I don't want to feel in a rush because getting in a rush keeps my brain foggy and unclear. So I want to have like time for lunch, maybe read a little bit. I've been trying to practice Spanish, so I'm going to do that too. But I'm really excited about where the book is going, and it feels surreal to think that I'm on the back half of it. Yesterday, the work that I did was I went and read the first, I don't know why I didn't feel like writing anything new. The Bad Guys Closed In has been, I would think that part would feel like the easiest for me because it's all of like the hard things and events in my life that I've been through that have felt hard, and they are always the things that are kind of like solidified in my mind. Yesterday, I just didn't feel like writing anything new, like adding new words. So I went back for the first time and went through the first 2 chapters and kind of edited them and made some enhancements to them, beefed them up a little. I know that I'm going to have to do a lot of beefing up in the debate section, which I'm excited for the day that my brain is like excited about going and doing that because I think it's going to be really, really fun to think about like me contemplating and going back and forth and making decisions and like where should I go, because that is like a huge part of my whole life story. But today I started to kind of do that, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll start to kind of look at chapter 3 and do some adding to that. And I was just like, no, this does not sound fun, but adding new stuff did, and it really flowed. So I've really loved that even though I'm giving myself this structure of, this goal of trying to do about 5,000 words a week, according to the plan that ChatGPT made me. I'm a little bit behind on that because of Cabo, but that's fine. I'm just trying to pick up where I am and keep going. Between yesterday and today, I've written about 2,500 words. I totally lied. I was not at 3,800. Excuse me, not 3,800. But when I spoke earlier, I said I thought I was like at 38,000 words. I was at about 36,000 words. So now I started at 35,741 and I got to 37,302. It's so wild. Those are just such big numbers. But I'm super excited. I think I'm going to take off from writing for the rest of the day, chill, have lunch. I do have a client call at 1:45. Then after that, I'm going to get ready, have a snack, then head into the city for the panel. It is Wednesday. It is like 4 p.m. And I'm going to say this whole week was about creating my schedule, finding something that I can stick to where I could write every single day. I've said multiple times, I have discovered I'm not going to write between 10 and 4 p.m. Well, guess what? I haven't written yet today. But I feel like this is one of those moments where I want to have a schedule, but what I don't want is to have it feel strict and stifling. And more than anything, the most important thing to me is to be able to be inspired and to write when I'm inspired. And this morning, I wanted to sleep in because we had our event last night, which was so much fun speaking on that panel at NYU. And so we didn't get home because the panel ended. We went out to like a celebratory dinner after the panel, and so we didn't get home until like 11:30 or something like that. Normally I try to go to bed at like 10:30, so I was going to bed at midnight, so we slept until like 7:30, when normally I wake up at like 6:30. So I just wanted to chill in this morning, and that was my plan. And my plan was to chill, relax, do admin, and then get to work with writing in that chunk like I showed you guys before. But I just had like this desire to work on my website. Maybe it was because of last night, thinking about referring people to it and having my offers on there so they're easy to find, etc. And so I just got like knees deep into doing that. And I did that straight through my writing time, but I wanted to, car stop. I wanted to do what felt inspiring. And since I was on a roll for that, I didn't want to have to stop when it felt good. So I kept going. I worked my website. Now, I was trying to figure out, normally what my original plan was for tonight was to go to an event at the New York Public Library, which I love. And it was a free book event about this book that sounds really, really great. And the book is basically a story similar to mine, like How Much Your Teachers Matter. And it's kind of part of the story that I'm writing. Well, it'll be part of my series, but not really the part that I'm writing right now. But my younger years of my life is how your teacher figures matter. But it's raining, and my original plan was to pack a dinner, go sit in Bryant Park and work, read. But it's raining. As you can see, I have an umbrella. And I was like, that's not going to work. And I didn't want to have to go out somewhere to eat dinner and be moving around. Didn't know what to do. So what I am doing instead is I had been wanting to go check out this co-working space because I do want to work out of the house a lot. I don't like staying in my house all day, every day. Low key, I miss going in office. I know that's an unpopular opinion. And so I decided, I just called them and I was like, do you guys do tours? Can I come look at it today? So I'm walking there now. It's 20 minutes from my house. I'm going through the amazing McCarran Park, which is beautiful and so much fun. It's always even with it raining, so many people are out here and I love it. But I'm gonna go check out this co-working space. I'm gonna sit in there, do some writing there outside of my writing time, see how that feels. Hopefully I love this co-working space and I can buy a membership and then I have a place to just go on the regular. But that's my hope. So wish me luck. I hope I can get in the groove. I have all my writing supplies in my backpack. I just want to make sure that I get some words in today. A really fun adventure. I have been craving to find a place for me to work outside of the house. I love our house, especially now that we are getting everything set up with this couch and the bookshelves that are set up that you saw already. And it's just feeling really homey. And that doesn't mean that I want to spend 24 hours a day here, 7 days a week. I love to leave. I love that. And I think super unpopular opinion, but I miss going into office. I miss talking to other people around the water cooler and just shooting the shit and talking about nothing and meeting new people and making friends. And anyways, I digress. Doesn't matter. I had so much fun at the co-working space. Even though it was way outside of my writing time, I think one thing that I really did was give myself that grace. I'm really proud of myself for the flexibility of my day because I ended up getting so much done. It just felt really good to do my website in the morning and then also get my writing done, even though I did it in a time that wouldn't normally feel good to me. I told myself, whatever you get done is what you get done. I released my expectation and just wrote, and slowly it came to me. I did find that I wasn't as much on my computer normally in that range before. When I've been writing, I've been in my computer, I've been typing and kind of close and energetic into it. I found myself sitting back, taking my fingers away, kind of looking, thinking, but coming back. And I don't know if that's part of the pace of my writing just felt slower in the evening, or I was also trying to be really thoughtful about what I was writing. I finished Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn, but I started reading Wool by Hugh Howey. Is that how you say his name? Fantastic. I'm literally only 30 pages in, and his writing is beautiful and descriptive. So every time I went to start a sentence, I was ooh, how can I show this even more and tell it even less? So that was really fun. I think I was really thinking about that tonight, which I really, really liked. And so now I'm back home. It's almost 8 o'clock. John makes me popcorn, which is really sweet. He's going to a show tonight. We like him to do some sort of music event at least once a week, if not twice or 3 times a week, because as an artist himself, that's one of the things that fills his inspiration tank. So he's so sweet. And when I got home from the co-working place, he had dinner ready for me. And then he made me popcorn for tonight because he knew that he would be gone by the time I would want it. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to read Wool because we are going to start watching Silo soon. And I feel really successful about my day. But for now, relaxing, resting, and I'll check in with you tomorrow. If I'm going to be really, really honest, this trying to write every day thing feels a little stressful today. Yesterday, what was so great is that I flexed my schedule. I put it in whatever order I needed in order to show up. And I think that what's happening is, and I feel spoiled, I feel blessed to be able to say this, but it's been a long time since I've had such a stacked schedule with a bunch of have to do's every day where it's, when I used to teach, it was like that. If I wanted to do anything, it was like everything was just kind of crammed. And I've talked about that before. I used to run my schedule to like the 20 minutes or the 5 minutes every day. And since then, I've worked on really opening my schedule up. And in running my own business, I've been able to choose my own schedule. And I've had it be very flexible with where, yes, I might work 6 to 8 hours a day, but it was usually on one thing that really flowed. And so it's really different to be trying to focus on like, okay, I got to get this writing in. I have about an hour. I can do it here. And I right now can't tell if I like it or not. And I realized the only way to know if I like it or not, because I thought I was like, okay, well, I'll just focus on client stuff today. I can do that. I could just focus on client stuff today. But if I do that, I can't see, like 3 days doesn't tell me whether or not I like something. I need to do this for this whole week, then reflect on it, maybe make some adjustments, probably do it again next week, see how that feels before I can decide and say, like I say that all the time with like a food. You can't try something once and actually determine if you like it or not, because there's always shock factor and all of that in the first bite. You have to take a second bite. You have to try it at least twice is what I say. So like this week of this schedule, this is only trying it once. And this is the shock factor of like, this feels different. This feels like a lot. But I also like how I feel at the end of the day where it's like, oh man, today was a productive day. I did client stuff. I got that done. I made some money. And then I also wrote my book, which feels really good too. Today I slept in late. I don't know why. Literally, again, didn't wake up until 7:30, but I wasn't even up that late last night. I was reading until like 11. But anyways, so my morning just got started 45 minutes later than normal. And I feel like I can feel the difference in that push right now. And I told you all about that new client that I'm working with. And today is our first call. So I really want to get some time around that call to prepare, get my mind right, feel good, because I want to show up and knock her socks off, and really help her with what she's doing. Because like I said, her purpose is really important to me. So instead of having a 2-hour block to write, I'm going to write for just an hour this morning. And at first I was like, maybe I should just delete it. But I do think I can get a lot done in an hour. Will it be my normal 1,000 or 1,500 words? No. And if I only get 300 words, that's fine. But I'm so excited about where I'm at because I have finished the Bad Guys Closing In. And I didn't even realize it last night. Well, I mean, I kind of realized it, but I think because it was so late and I was just like, oh, I was so proud of myself for writing. I'm moving into the All Is Lost, which I technically have already written parts of it because it was something that I was putting in the beginning as the catalyst. But I was like, actually, I need to save this for All Is Lost. So I moved it. So there's already a couple thousand words written for this. And so I'm really excited. I'm basically going to start by reviewing that, editing it to match the timeline of the book that it's in now versus being in the beginning. And then also I've deepened some of the storylines, some of that dystopian vibe to it. And so I have to edit that here as well. So that's what I'm going to get into. I'm not going to talk for any longer because my time does feel scrunched today. So I got to get started. That was really great. That felt really good. I wrote for about an hour. And so with kind of how my brain was feeling before it, I felt like I was able to really get into my story, which I wasn't sure. Maybe it helped that I wasn't really pulling up anything new, but I was working with something that I had already written and just adapting it to fit. So that felt good. I like what I wrote. I think it fits really well. I think it seems really nice. I did start to feel like towards the end, I feel like I could have technically kept going. It was this weird feeling of like, I want to keep going, but also I felt my mind starting to think about my upcoming meeting. So I'm calling it quits here. And then I tallied up the amount of words that I've written. And in this part, I had been counting this upcoming All Is Lost that I'd already written and moved in my overall word count. And I did delete some of it and then add other words in because I did have to delete the stuff that made sense if it was going to be chapter 3. But now it's like chapter 17 or further. But for this week so far, I've hit about 4,700 words, which feels really good. I keep rounding when I'm talking about it. So before, when I was saying that I thought that I hit like 4,000 or 5,000 yesterday or whatever, like I always round up, but I realized 300 words is actually a lot and I need to not be rounding to the 1,000. I know tomorrow I should hit my goal of 5,000 for the week. So that feels really awesome. Tomorrow I also still have 2 meetings in the afternoon. So my morning writing time might be short. I'm going to keep fiddling around with this and see what feels good. But for now, I want to get ready for that client meeting. It's not Friday. It's not even Saturday, nor Sunday. It is a completely different week than the week I was trying to create the perfect schedule for me to write. There's Wallace. If you can hear that, Wallace is our little robot vacuum, and he's cleaning up for us right now. I tried to keep track of what I actually did with my schedule. And since last Thursday, which was my last day of trying to get myself to write every single day, I've been reflecting a lot on like what this process has taught me, on what this process of writing my book from beginning till now has taught me, and where I am and what I want it to look like, which I think is the whole purpose of trying to create a schedule. I went into this week or last week so hopeful that I would be able to write every day, that I would find this like super productive schedule where I'd be able to sit and write 2 hours a day, and then I'd be able to work on my other work and get everything done. And then at like 6 p.m., I'd have the end of a great day and just feel so accomplished and like I was just taking over the world. And that is exactly not the feeling that I created by doing this experiment. I think the feeling that I created was more of this stifle and this force and this have to. And I just realized for the creative process, that is just not at all what I want to have. So when Friday came and I wasn't feeling like writing, I felt a little bit guilty. And in a way, I also felt like I should write because I have this vlog that I'm creating where I was going to write every single day. And I was like, actually, that's not the best reason to write. The best reason to write is because I'm so excited about the story and I'm so excited to put something down, not because I need to make a vlog. Which of course I do love making these, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't, but that's not the right reason to sit down and try to eke out a chapter. And so it actually felt really, really good to take that day off. And I just felt so great. And I was like, okay, well, I'll write on Saturday. But then I didn't write on Saturday. I knew I wasn't going to write on Sunday because that was my and John's 1-year New York anniversary. And so we spent the whole day just doing something so magical. And it was so much fun. And by so magical, I mean just living a regular New York weekend because magic just pops up everywhere. And so we had the most beautiful day on Sunday, just going to the very first bagel place we ever went to, the first coffee place we ever went to. We had a picnic in Central Park. We manifested what we wanted for our 2nd year. And it was so much fun. So now this week has started, and I thought what I would do and what I'd said before, and I do truly believe this, is that you have to try everything twice. The first time there's that shock factor, which I definitely got from doing this experiment. I felt that force. I felt like my brain was somewhere else outside of excited and ready to write, and I didn't like that feeling. And that feeling carried over into Monday and Tuesday, and today is Wednesday. And so I decided and made the executive decision not to try to make and do another schedule this week. Because I didn't want to have that force. I didn't want to lead with that feeling. I didn't think I just don't think it would, it's not going to be fun. And that's the whole point of life. The whole point of doing this is do something that feels good and feels fun, in my opinion. And then the other point is that I don't think it would make me have my best writing. Like, I don't think forcing myself to do something when I feel like, I don't know what other word to use besides force, so you're going to hear it a lot. When I feel forced to, I don't think is going to create the best result. So I'm allowing myself this time of freedom. What I think I also learned from what I was trying to do last week, and I'll show you, this is what my schedule actually ended up looking like, is that I prefer to write when I feel that energetically. And yes, I do think that I prefer to write in that 10 to 4 p.m. window. I haven't had a lot of luck being inspired outside of that as a pattern that I've seen, but trying to force myself to write from like 10 to 1 or in that one window right there, what was really hard was having to stop. When I got into that flow where I felt really good about it, and then I just had to end and then switch my brain to go work on client stuff, that was really, really hard. So I do think when I try this in the future, I might flip flop that so that I get all my client work done in the beginning. And that would have been hard to do this week anyways, because I have already pre-scheduled all my call blocks are in the afternoon. So I would need to flip that so that my call blocks are all before 1. And then basically after lunch, just being able to write and write with no end time. I think that that is what I want to try when I do this again. But for this week and next week, I just want to write with the goal of saying I want to hit 5,000 words, which I feel like after this experiment, that might be just the best way for me to do this, is to write, because I was getting in like at least 2 days of writing before, and I was hitting about 5,000 words, 4,000 to 5,000 words a week, even on those 2 days, because the days where I was inspired, I was going to do it. And the one thing that I'm reflecting on is how I said I want to take this really seriously and act as if this is part of my job, which I do believe that it is. I do plan on making money from selling my books, right? I do plan on writing a second book and then a third prequel and all of those things. And so I do know that there are like deadlines and things like that. And I think right now where my book is, or that's kind of like a feeling or something that I feel like I'm still trying to figure out, is how do I want this to be? And I think being able to have that creative, okay, you're hitting 5,000 words a week is the plan, and do that regularly. And if that means Friday comes and you've only hit 1,000 words, that through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, your goal is to hit 4,000 more. And so I want to create that variability as much as I can, that openness, that flexibility as much as I can. But I wanted to fill you in on where I went. And part of me was just like, wow, what a sucky vlog, but also what a realistic one. What a realistic one to try to create a schedule and to have it just like bomb, and to actually be one of the, what felt like, yes, I got in, you can see in my schedule, I got in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of writing, but the way that it felt was so different. The way that it felt was not the exciting and fun that I had before. And I don't want my writing to feel that way. So flexibility is the key, and hopefully moving to writing in the afternoons when I bring that back to try to write every day again will be the thing that helps me feel that way, so it doesn't feel trapped and constrained between two things. Also, I went in, remember how I told you that I have not scheduled my day by the 20 minutes? I went in and deleted all of that shit. So now the only thing that's on my schedule is appointments, so that I could go back to being flexible. I realized no matter what, I still wake up, coffee, journal, do admin, eat breakfast, get to work, all of those things, do my meetings, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, I just don't need to see that in my calendar. I think just seeing my calendar full like that, which is so opposite of Kayla from 5 years ago. Kayla 5 years ago loved that on her calendar. Kayla now, entrepreneur Kayla, does not. Flexibility allows for more creativity, allows for more inspiration, with, of course, the guidelines of trying to create a certain number of words, and doing the things that keep me motivated. Really, really interesting to learn as a recovering type A over calendarer that flexibility is the answer to all my creative and writing needs. So if you have gotten this far, I want to know if you're a writer, talk about writing. But if you are an artist, if you make music, if you paint, if you throw pottery, whatever you do, tell me in the comments a little bit about what you do to stay inspired and stay creative and stay on your schedule. Not only so that I can read it, but then everybody else who comments will be able to read it, and then we'll all get so many great ideas about what you do. And no matter what you are, maybe you also like work a 9 to 5 in finance, but there's something that you do to keep yourself creative and inspired. What is that? What is that like for you? Tell everybody so we can all learn and grow from this. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.